It's Wednesday, July 15th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Nova Scotia Power resumes late billing fees as systems return to normal. New data shows demand on food banks is soaring in New Brunswick.
A mix of sun and cloud with a chance of some pop-up showers or a few thunderstorms ahead for Thursday.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. All systems are go at Nova Scotia Power. The utility insists it has fully recovered from last year's cyber attack that exposed customer accounts and disrupted business. With that comes an end to a grace period for late bills. As CTV's Vanessa Wright reports, overdue fines are coming back.
Today, Nova Scotia Power says operations are mostly back to normal. This after a cyber attack last April put hundreds of thousands of customer bills at risk.
We understand that the past year has caused concerns for our customers. That's why we were very quick to ensure that customers understood that we were not charging late charges on outstanding balances when the cyber incident occurred.
Now that they say meter reads are accurate and bills are correct, customers will be charged late fees starting in October.
It's something that we have considered very carefully. We feel that October 1st of 2026 does provide 2.5 months notice for customers.
The utility says about 9% of their customers have outstanding bills with an average balance of around $1,300. They've introduced new interest-free payment plans to help customers manage those costs.
I mean, I've never really had a level of trust for NSP.
This customer is considering taking NSP to court if they don't repay him after he claims a faulty meter dramatically increased his bill.
They determined that there was nothing wrong with the old meter and that I was therefore billed correctly and they were not going to do anything at all. Overall, I think they've got a lot of work to do to restore trust from Nova Scotians.
The utility also announced a community energy fund that aims to help those in need of extra assistance.
So if a customer is getting some help from a charity or other organization that helps low-income customers, Nova Scotia Power will help contribute to that bill support.
While the utility says all bills have been corrected, they encourage customers to reach out to them for support. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Halifax.
And we have more on what Nova Scotia Power said. It's at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Cape Breton police are on the hunt for a suspect who robbed a bank in Dominion this morning. This is a frame of security video that shows the person of interest. Just before noon, a man approached the counter of the credit union and demanded money and then fled with an amount of cash. No one was injured in the heist. The man was described as wearing a mask and dressed in a green army jacket. A youth in Porters Lake in the Halifax area has been arrested for making threats believed to be hate-motivated. In a release, police investigators learned a youth made threats of violence related to a specific Pride event. Police say the youth made threats to another identifiable group on another occasion. The youth was released pending a future court appearance. A tense confrontation at an event attended by the Premier of Nova Scotia in Wolfville resulted in one person being arrested and then released without charges, and that led to the cancellation of a planned announcement. CTV's Jesse Thomas explains.
Premier Tim Houston never made it here to the Benjamin Bridge Winery behind me, where he was scheduled to announce changes to local alcohol sales. Instead, his day was cut short after what his press secretary described as a protest that turned violent outside of a Chamber of Commerce event at Acadia University. The Premier's office says RCMP advised them that it wasn't safe for the Premier to travel here, so the announcement went on ahead without him. In a statement, the Premier's office says, in trying to leave the venue, the Premier's vehicle, along with his staff's vehicles, were swarmed by rioters, preventing them from leaving. These criminals blocked them in, were pushing law enforcement, climbing onto the car the Premier was in, and smashed the windshield with the Premier in the car. Meanwhile, new rules for alcohol sales were announced here as the province is moving to allow alcohol producers to cooperate and sell their products at each other's retail stores, while also removing a barrier to opening a second storefront by eliminating the long-standing requirement that alcohol producers who open a storefront must also manufacture and produce alcohol within those stores. That's no longer the case and something the industry has long been asking for.
The secondary location piece without brewing is a bonus, that's for certain. I think a lot of us do that already, and to get rid of that piece, get rid of the red tape is great.
I think we were just seeking more opportunity, and that just more retail opportunities to get to consumers. We were kind of limited in our taproom space by production, so you had to have a full-blown production, which is a lot of money and investment to put somewhere where maybe you just want a little retail kind of taproom area in a different community.
These regulations are still in the works, but government hopes to see them in place by August long weekend to allow cross-selling and the secondary retail policy in place by the fall. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Gasbro, Nova Scotia.
More New Brunswickers are relying on their local food bank each month than ever before. And that's exposing holes in the system, from aging facilities to declining volunteers, a new report finds. CTV's Avery McRae has the details.
When Romero House opened nearly 45 years ago in St. John, it was intended to only operate for a handful of months. Fast forward to today, and they are serving more meals than ever.
We're at about 150,000 meals a year. And so the average month here is between 11,000 and 13,000 meals.
According to a new report jointly published by Feed NB and the Human Development Council, food insecurity has risen province-wide in recent years. Since 2022, food bank use has increased by 60%, the report finds, while community kitchens are serving 24% more meals.
Food banks were never designed to service this level of demand. It's been crazy for the last 3-4 years especially. So they were never, there's a lot of capacity issue, aging infrastructure, storage, but also staffing with volunteering as well.
The data in the report is based off environmental scans of 68 food banks and kitchen over the past year.
Also, while doing those site visits, we had conversations with folks that are working or volunteering at those spaces to get to hear from them about the challenges and needs that they identify.
One of those challenges is a shrinking and aging volunteer base. But Liam Fisher notes getting help isn't as easy as flipping a switch.
There has to be some form of intervention, and the recommendations in our report provide a number of ways that New Brunswick in general could show up to help support food banks and community kitchens.
But for Evelyn McNulty, it's about more than further support to get her kitchen through the day.
Instead of trying to make the people providing a service feel like they need to be better at it, faster, quicker, better, do more, we need to find out why people are falling in the river in the first place.
Because in her eyes, it's about going upstream and solving the issue, so places like hers can return to being the stopgap they were always intended to be. Avery McRae, CTV News, St. John.
There's a look right now at the beach, Lockport, Nova Scotia, on the South Shore. 28 beautiful degrees. We bring in CTV meteorologist Kayla Mitchell. A hot day across the region. Not a bad day to be on the beach.
Absolutely. Great day to be on some of the beaches around the Maritimes. And for the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia today, the wind was mostly offshore. So even those beach areas were feeling a little bit hotter compared to yesterday, where the wind was more directly onshore and kept some of those beach areas with, let's face it, some more moderate temperatures. A lot of the highs topping out around the low 20s. Taking a look at temperatures right now for this evening around the Maritimes, most of the temperatures are in the mid to high 20s. There are a few exceptions. Some cloud and some showers have moved into parts of the north of New Brunswick. So there, temperatures right now around the low 20s, and some areas of Cape Breton right now with temperatures between 21 and 24, and Yarmouth reporting a temperature of 21 degrees. There's a little bit of mugginess left in the air, but humidex values only making it feel in most cases a couple degrees warmer. And what's left left of that muggy air is going to continue to come out of the Maritimes as we make our way into the end of this week. Taking a look at the winds right now out of the west and northwest, sustained 10 to 30 kilometers per hour. Getting a few gusts still reported between 30 and 50. The wind gusts will be diminishing by around midnight tonight, but similar winds expected for tomorrow. The showers in the north of New Brunswick will be coming to an end as we make our way through this evening. There's been a lot of talk in the country about wildfire smoke. We had some of that present high above us this morning in the Maritimes. It then cleared off towards the east as we went throughout the day. The smoke, though, is expected to linger around parts of the northeastern U.S. and areas of Ontario for tomorrow, where it could be a little bit lower and impact air quality like it did today. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I'm back with the forecast a little bit later on. Todd.
We've got some dramatic wildfire video we're going to show folks coming up a little later in the newscast too, and we'll talk about that in about 15 minutes. Thank you, Kaylin. A tenants' right group held rallies around the Maritimes and Canada today to demand action on extreme heat.
Whose city? Our city!
Members of Acorn Moncton gathered on Main Street before noon and before the temperature soared in the city for the organization's Beat the Heat Day of Action. The event was about calling attention to extreme heat events around the world and looking for solutions for people that are most vulnerable.
Who are seniors, young children, the disabled folks, those who are on low income. A lot of cases, basically, they struggle with extreme heat every year, and many don't have the means or the funds available to actually have any form of air conditioning in their units.
I personally had to go and purchase a second-hand air conditioner to beat the heat this summer, and it took away from my grocery money. So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation here in the Maritimes.
The organization is demanding the province introduce a no-cost air conditioner program for low-income renters, energy rebates for low to moderate income ratepayers, and upgrades to rental units to reduce dangerous temperatures inside. 2 people are dead following a fatal collision in Nova Scotia's Annapolis Valley yesterday. A car and a tractor trailer, both traveling in the same direction, collided on Highway 101 in the Kingston area Tuesday afternoon. A 75-year-old woman and 28-year-old man, both from Middleton, died at the scene. The driver of the truck was treated by paramedics. The cause of this crash remains under investigation. Well, we know the price of just about everything is on the rise, and in Halifax, you can add parking to that list now. The fees jump as Saturday parking pricing comes into effect this weekend. Here's CTV's Callum Smith.
How long we want to stay?
That's a question some people may consider more carefully, because starting today, on-street parking across Halifax will cost you more, 25% more, rounded to the nearest quarter.
It's ridiculous how they're trying to bring people to shopping districts, and by increasing costs, I don't think that helps at all, for one, not to mention there's rarely any place to park.
While on-street parking prices changed based on time of day, mornings in downtown Dartmouth will jump from $2.50 to $3.25, pushing the daily maximum up by more than $5.
I just feel that with everything else is going up, why don't they manage to keep parking down for the people? We've got enough expense.
I think that's insane, especially I think it's like a really important time right now to be supporting like local.
A frustration for business.
I don't know if the amount is that makes that huge of a difference. It's the idea of kind of coming to the well in the downtown areas to get that revenue without seeing the return.
He argues the added revenue should stay in the business districts. This creperie owner says it's just another barrier to keep people out of downtown.
I'm not a fan of that maneuver by the city. I understand that they're looking for money, but I think there's other priorities that they could be looking at. It's certainly not good for small business at all.
A city budget document pointed to setting rates high enough to encourage other options for travel, while also ensuring turnover of short-term parking spaces.
I hear what they're saying. I'm not convinced. I think it's more of a money kind of grab.
Councillor Laura White doesn't see it that way.
No, but I understand that perspective because it comes at budget time and it is something that we look at compared to everything else. But parking policy is really about availability of spots and transportation policy.
The city is also upping the cost of monthly commuter parking fees by $20, and starting this weekend, you'll have to pay for on-street parking every Saturday, but the first hour remains free. In all, the changes are expected to add about $1.9 million to the municipal purse annually. So as the city tries to alleviate the tax burden, user fees are certainly one way to gain more revenue, and parking fees are just one part of that. Todd.
All right, Callum in Halifax. Thank you for that.
Get the Maritimes top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
You may recall a report last week on unfinished or inadequate renovation work. Well, tonight, the view from the other side. Many contractors also face issues with unpaid bills and dishonest customers. CTV's Hafsa Arif has more.
Emily Randell Reeves' day rarely starts with a hammer. It begins with a schedule, subcontractors to coordinate, and clients to meet. Today, the renovation waiting for her comes with something every contractor hopes for: a great client.
It's an exciting process for them, so they're ultimately your top priority.
But not every project goes as smoothly as this one. Behind finished kitchens, new decks, and fresh landscaping, contractors say they're sometimes left waiting for the one thing they need to keep their businesses running: payment.
When there's larger amounts of money that are owed to a general contractor, we do have the option to lien a property. But liening a property is costly because you have to hire a lawyer.
And even with that, it could take years before homeowners are forced to lift the lien. It's something landscaping contractor Jack Doucette insists everyone in the industry encounters.
We're not able to move forward with work as quick of a drop as a dime as some people would like. Change orders are required.
Without those payments, contractors say the financial pressure builds quickly. Suppliers still need to be paid. Employees still expect a paycheck, and one stalled project can affect the next.
What we do now is we require a deposit, and we have strict pay line schedules to help us ensure that we're getting funds on time.
Randell Reeves knows that firsthand. 5 years ago, she says she advanced significant funds on a renovation before the client's money came through. And over time, it never did.
It took a couple years for me to decide that I even wanted to get back into the business, because the reality is residential and renovation construction, it's rather unregulated.
It's a side of the renovation business homeowners don't always see, because while trust is the foundation of every project, it's also what contractors say leaves them most vulnerable when things fall apart. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Halifax.
Thank you, Hafsa. Time for a break now. Still to come this evening, our full weather forecast. We'll find out when you're most at risk of being scammed. But first, the blockade on Iranian ports and ships is back on. Military strikes are also on the rise again between Iran and the U.S. We'll have more on that after the break.
And this is the Campfire Conditions Report, brought to you by Pine Acres RV, where customers become friends. In the province of New Brunswick, in most counties, you are currently not allowed to have a campfire. There are two exceptions: Restigouche County and Kent counties, where you are permitted to have a campfire between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. For the province of Nova Scotia, there is a mix of restrictions. First of all, in Kings and Annapolis County, Queens, Lunenburg, Halifax County, and Guysborough County, campfires are currently not permitted. If you are in the Tri-Counties, if you're in Cumberland, Colchester County, or Pictou County, you are allowed to have a campfire between 7 p.m. and 8 a.m. And the same thing goes if you are in Cape Breton and Richmond and Victoria counties. Now, if you're in Inverness County and Antigonish County for Nova Scotia, you can have a campfire between 2 p.m. and 8 a.m. For the province of Prince Edward Island, campfires are currently permitted, with domestic brush burning permitted between the hours of 2 p.m. and 8 a.m.
Airstrikes have increased in number and intensity as U.S. and Iran revive bombings. All the while, the U.S. has reinstated its naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. ABC's Christiane Cordero has the latest from Washington.
Today, the battle at sea between the U.S. and Iran is ramping up. U.S. Central Command posted this photo showing an American-flagged ship to illustrate the naval blockade reinstated in the Strait of Hormuz. The Pentagon says U.S. forces have redirected 2 commercial ships away from Iranian ports.
Anything we can put economic pressure on the regime is really what's going to get their attention and potentially change their perspective when it comes to these negotiations.
Iran insists it has control of the strait, and recent data from maritime firm Kepler shows a dramatic decrease in ship traffic since the war reignited. Just 21 recorded transits on Tuesday, when about 100 ships would pass before the war. A new wave of U.S. airstrikes today, including the one in this video circulating online, shows missiles targeting Iranian port cities in broad daylight. Iran has responded by targeting American bases in the region. This video posted online shows an airstrike hitting a building in Kuwait that Iran says stored U.S. weapons. A spokesperson for the regime says more than 30 people have died as a result of the recent strikes, though hasn't elaborated beyond that figure. And today, President Trump is increasing the rhetoric, threatening to bomb Iran's bridges and power plants as soon as next week. Oil and gas prices are rising with the volatility around the Strait of Hormuz. The national average for a gallon of regular is now $3.87, according to Gas Buddy. That's 13 cents higher than last week. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Closer to home, forest fires in northwestern Ontario have forced a number of communities to evacuate and led to these incredible scenes from a freight train.
This could potentially overtake us here. This is getting a little scary.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Okay, yeah, this is...
Okay, y'all need to hurry up here. Like, seriously, we're encased in flames now.
Engineers managed to keep their cool nonetheless. This viewer-provided video shows the terrifying situation. The train had to come to a stop when it basically ran into a wall of flames near Collins. That's about 200 kilometers north of Thunder Bay, Ontario. CN Rail confirms the crew was safely removed from the train and the area. Wow. Still to come, how long will our warm temperatures stick around? Kaylin has the details in the full maritime forecast right after this. As Europe buckles under record heat, temperatures at Norway's Oslo airport are set to hit 30 degrees Celsius, which is about 10 degrees higher than normal. So you can see the crews there spraying down the tarmac to keep the planes from damaging the runway, something they are not accustomed to. CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell joining us now. 30 degrees is 30 degrees. We get that kind of temperature here, so unsure why they would need to spray down the tarmac, but there you have it. I guess the headline is they're getting temperatures they're not used to. Yeah, it's certainly very hot still in Europe, and we know that part of the world has experienced a number of heat waves so far, going through the first part of summer. A lot of that heat actually coming up from the Saharan desert. Let's take a look at where they were for today. They've definitely been hotter this summer so far than today, though maybe not up in Oslo. Oslo hit 31 actually, but you can still see there is plenty of heat in place in Europe. London today, 29 degrees, Paris 32, Madrid 36, and Rome touched on 35 degrees. I'll tell you where there is no heat right now, and that's London. Not after that game. They just lost to Argentina. Oh! So it's going to be feeling very cold there the next few days, no doubt. Heartbreaker. Thank you for that update, Todd. There's your sports update. There we go. Let's get back to Canada, though. Take a look at conditions across the country for today. Warm, some heat out west. Vancouver right now sitting at 23 degrees, 25 at Calgary and Regina. And then moving off towards the east, temperatures and humidity levels have come down through parts of Ontario and parts of Quebec for today, but they have some air quality issues with the presence of wildfire smoke from those fires. We saw that amazing footage earlier in northern Ontario. It's still hot in Windsor, sitting at 35 degrees. Toronto's at 25. The temperature actually being held down today because of the presence of that thick smoke. Montreal sitting at 28, 27 at Fredericton this hour, 28 at Halifax, 25 at Charlottetown. St. John's been seeing some rain and some thunderstorms today and currently sitting at 16 degrees. Taking a look at our timeline for cloud cover and
and precipitation as we make our way through this evening. Any remaining showers, a couple of them left in the north of New Brunswick, will be coming to an end. Fairly clear sky, but fog patches developing overnight, and there might be a little bit of thin wildfire smoke that returns high aloft of the Maritimes and around for the start of the day for tomorrow. It'll be very high above us. It won't be impacting air quality here in the Maritimes, and like today, it'll be clearing off towards the east as we move through the day. Taking a look at the afternoon conditions around the region, it'll be a mix of sun and cloud early in the afternoon, a chance of showers, the risk of a thunderstorm in western areas of New Brunswick and the southwest, and then as we move through the remainder of the afternoon, so mid to late afternoon and into the evening, that area of showers and a chance of thunderstorms with it will move into western areas of Nova Scotia and then into the first part of the evening, clear through the east of that province. Now let's get back to talking a little bit about the presence of that wildfire smoke. So this is coming off of hundreds of wildfires currently ongoing in northern Ontario, thickest down over the Great Lakes into southern Ontario and parts of the northeastern U.S. As we take a look at the outlook for us here in the Maritimes, making our way into Thursday morning, you can see just a hint here of some thin high smoke. Really the low stuff, the stuff that could impact air quality in the forecast for tomorrow, that's going to be centered down through the northeastern United States and once again back through parts of southern Ontario. So that's where they will be more on alert for it impacting air quality. Taking a look at temperatures, low temperatures for tonight, they'll be mostly around the low to mid-teens. And then here's a look at your high temperatures in the forecast for Thursday. In the north of New Brunswick, mostly between 20 and 23 degrees. Down through central and southern areas of New Brunswick, most of the high temperatures tomorrow will be around the low to mid-20s. Prince Edward Island on Thursday, the high temperatures between 22 and 24 with a mix of sun and cloud. In eastern areas of Nova Scotia and Cape Breton, highs of 22 to 26, around the mid-20s for the north shore of mainland Nova Scotia, and for coastal areas on the eastern shore between 23 and 26 degrees. 25 for Truro, 26 for Halifax for tomorrow, and for Lunenburg. The Annapolis Valley with high temperatures near 26 and high temperatures of 25 to 27 on the south shore, except a little bit cooler for coastal areas in the southwest, including Yarmouth, with a high near 22. Taking a look at the extended forecast for New Brunswick, fair weather mix of sun and cloud to finish off this week and to start the upcoming weekend. Now, rain is possible on Sunday. That would be nice to pick up some rain for the region. Sunshine in the forecast for Monday, and then a chance of showers Tuesday and Wednesday. Likewise for Nova Scotia, temperatures cool off a little bit on Friday, but then bounce back on Saturday with a mix of sun and cloud. Rain possible on Sunday. It's followed by some sunshine on Monday, and then we'll have a chance of some showers Tuesday into Wednesday of next week. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, coming up on Friday, mix of sun and cloud. Sunshine, though, to get the weekend started before there's a potential for some rain on Sunday. A mix of sun and cloud on Monday. Chance of showers on Tuesday of next week, as well as on Wednesday. Todd.
Kalen, you mentioned smoke and the wildfire conditions in Ontario. Well, we have some images related to that. The big smoke, certainly living up to its name. Toronto under the haze and smell of smoke from those forest fires in the northern part of Ontario. This morning, the city had the world's worst air quality. Most of the province has been under extreme heat warnings, too.
Yeah, that's something else, and that's what kept their temperature down today, just that thick blanket of smoke. I actually have a hazy, smoky picture to show you from our skies here in the Maritimes in Nova Scotia coming up at the end of the show. But thankfully, Todd, as I mentioned, it was high enough for us that it didn't really impact air quality.
Yeah, certainly good news for us. All right, thank you, Kalen. We'll see you later. Next, we'll talk about how scams are targeting victims during some of the most vulnerable times of their lives. Don't go away.
Okay, so coming up on the show tomorrow, another chance to win some tickets to get off to see the Jonas Brothers with your first opportunity in the 6 a.m. hour.
And we have another $50 gift card to St. Louis.
Welcome back to the midweek edition of your newscast. New Brunswickers are more at risk for scams during major life events. That's the warning and the headline of a new report from the Financial and Consumer Services Commission of New Brunswick. Marissa Solos is the Director of Communications with the Commission, and she is in St. John. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Todd. Nice to see you.
We know scammers target the vulnerable. Boy, this seems like a new low. Describe what you mean by life events.
Life events can be any number of things. Some of the major ones that we think about would be, job loss, marriage, divorce, starting a family, as you mentioned, caring for an aging parent. Any of these situations that we may naturally find ourselves in over the course of life that come with emotional ties, but also maybe, as a secondary thought, come with some pretty major financial decision making that's needed. And like you said, that's where scammers tend to search for opportunities to exploit us when we're at our more vulnerable. We're more concentrated on what's in front of us.
Yeah, what are they looking for? What's the opening? What can they spot that can make you a target?
Certainly, any time that we're in any sort of heightened emotional state, whether it's positive, like we're very excited, we're getting married, or whether it's stress, I've lost my job, or there, some other illness or injury. They are looking for those opportunities when we are likely more focused on the immediate challenge in front of us, on dealing with that personal aspect of it. And they look for those opportunities to come in, to play on our already heightened emotions and really take advantage. And people know, they are professionals at doing this kind of work.
Where are they spotting this? Is it social media posts? Are they, looking for that type of, are there keywords generally? Where are they finding them?
We're finding a lot of social media, email, text message, direct message. There are a lot of online avenues that people report as being kind of one of the primary places where they had been recently approached with what they felt or what later in fact turned out to be a fraudulent either investment or financial offer. I think that it becomes very inexpensive for the scammers to kind of mass produce and mass send out these messages and these offers, certainly using AI to to bolster the messages that they're sending out, to increase their range of them and the number of recipients of them. It doesn't cost them very much to do that and to reach lots and lots of people.
Are they masking as financial institutions? Groups that we might trust?
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely see different types of spoofing or AI impersonation scams where there may be a prominent politician or political figure or organization that is that in fact themselves have been a bit of victim of one of these types of scams where their likeness or their name is being used to promote fraudulent or non-existent opportunities.
Yeah. We're talking about New Brunswickers, obviously, because that's where you're based, but I'm assuming that anybody watching this show tonight, no matter where they are in the Maritimes, they can probably appreciate that it's reflected where they live as well. And what are you hearing, or what were you hearing that people are losing out on?
The top the top frauds and scams that we know have been hitting New Brunswickers have been investment, and particularly investment offers related to crypto, so fraudulent or fictitious crypto offerings and investments. I think that that's pretty common across Canada as one of the top types of frauds and scams that people are losing money to.
Are victims reluctant to report that they've been hit by something like this?
I think yes. While we have some that are reporting, because we do have some data available about the types of frauds and scams and some numbers, we know that financial fraud in particular is very, very underreported. So I think there's a certain shame or stigma that can be associated with it for people. There is at times the feeling that they don't know where to report. They don't feel anything can be done or anything will come of it. So one of our messages that we always like to let people know, I mentioned this earlier, these are professionals. They know what they're doing. They are trained to steal your money from you. There is no shame in being a victim of crime. Reporting it helps not only to potentially find some avenues where action can be taken, but also to help protect yourself from future attempts, protect your neighborhood, your community, your friends, your family. The more that we know about what's happening, the more we can take kind of disruptive measures or put warnings out to the public.
There is a website people can go to get some tips how to not join the ranks of victims.
Yes, certainly. We've got a new education website that's available, finfo.ca. It is the consumer education offering of the Financial and Consumer Services Commission. Additionally, people can visit the Commission's website at fcmb.ca to sign up for fraud alerts. So a little two options for you. Receive those fraud alerts right in your inbox when we know of something that's happening or we want to warn the public of it. And then we have general education information on how to protect yourself, to build up your confidence and become more resilient and adaptable should you hit any of these financial hurdles.
Marissa Solos with the Financial and Consumer Services Commission of New Brunswick. Great information. It is something we should all be aware of. Thanks for taking the time to enlighten us this evening.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for the chat.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with much more. Stay with us. To medical news now, and we look at why it's important to keep your heart healthy during peak summer heat. CTV's Amanda Devison has details in tonight's Lifeline.
As the sweltering heat wave blankets much of central Canada, the Heart and Stroke Foundation says the weather can be especially dangerous for people with cardiovascular conditions. Health experts say extreme heat causes strain as the body cools itself down through sweating and the heart pumps more blood to the skin surface. Extreme heat can make people more vulnerable to dehydration, can result in a drop in blood pressure and an increase in heart rate, which is enough to trigger a heart attack or an episode of heart failure in patients who have a history of heart disease. Older adults and those who work outside are also vulnerable to heat-related illness. One of the most dangerous heat effects for people in general is heat stroke, a medical emergency when the body can no longer regulate its temperature. It's recommended people stay hydrated and stay out of the sun during peak hours of 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. If you don't have air conditioning at home, visit places with air conditioning like libraries and malls. In the U.S., infections from the diarrhea-causing parasite Cyclospora are surging, with 2026 already America's worst year for reported cases. More than 30 states have reported infections this year, and current data from them shows the number of infections surpassing the record U.S. mark of about 4,700 set in 2019. The illness is not usually life-threatening and is typically treated with antibiotics. Health officials have not yet definitively identified the source of the infections, but in Michigan, where more than 3,300 cases have been reported, officials say early information points to lettuce or salad greens as a possible culprit. Finally, an experimental drug might help slow early Alzheimer's disease in a markedly different way than current treatments by lowering the brain's production of a protein called tau. Today, 2 Alzheimer's drugs can modestly slow cognitive decline by clearing away buildup of a different protein, amyloid. But tau plays a role too, and there are no tau-targeting drugs. Researchers at the Alzheimer's Association International Conference reported new findings this week suggesting Biogen's new experimental drug might offer that benefit. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Devison for the Lifeline.
We're going to stay with medical news for a moment. New Brunswick's health minister is acknowledging that what we've heard from several users of the province's new virtual care platform, that there's been problems, particularly with prescription renewals. CTV's Nick Moore now with what the province says they're doing about it.
For several months, New Brunswick Health Minister Dr. John Dornan promised a seamless transition to a new virtual care provider. Today, he admitted that has not been the case.
I take the blame for claiming that it would be seamless. It's clearly not without concerns and need to change on the spot.
Dornan said almost all of the complaints about Virtual Care NB, which came online June 30th, have been about the renewal of prescription drugs. Some users say it's been taking days to get a renewal, whereas it took just a few hours with the former eVisit NB platform. Dornan did not provide a metric today for how many complaints have been received.
But I know it was more than we anticipated. We didn't have data from the prior provider as to what volume was prescription renewals, and you could almost expect that. If we have 200,000 people that don't have family doctors or primary care practitioners, many still take medications.
This thing has been a boondoggle. It's a mess.
The progressive conservatives say the provincial Liberals should have known that prescription renewals were key to virtual care.
Are they really telling New Brunswickers that, well, we didn't know that we were going to find ourselves in this situation? That is just plain and simple bad management.
The Pharmacists Association of New Brunswick told CTV on Tuesday that there's been an uptick in people showing up at drugstores looking for help. CEO Heidi Liston said pharmacists were not included in any meaningful discussions about the new virtual care provider prior to it coming online.
That perhaps was a missed opportunity.
Today, Minister Dornan agreed with that assessment.
Had we known there were going to be so many prescription renewals, we would have involved them more carefully and endeavor to do that moving forward.
The province says an online prescription renewal option will be added so patients do not have to call Telecare 811. At the same time, Minister Dornan warned today against people waiting until their prescription was gone or almost gone before making a renewal. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
Thank you, Nick. We're going to take one more break. We have your business report and the wake-up weather right after the CTV primetime schedule.
With Aaron and Peter.
Hey, you can win $1,000 in under 60 seconds every weekday at 7.
That's when we play $1,000 Minute. Your chance to win $1,000 with us.
It's the FIFA World Cup Finals. We now know that it will be defending champions Argentina versus Spain. You can watch the final live on CTV, TSN, and Crave Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock our time. That means CTV News at 6 is back to its regular schedule starting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. The big game, Sunday at 4 on our various platforms. Looking at the business report, the Dow ended the day up 150 points. WestJet's flight attendants have voted in favor of a strike. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has more.
More than 99% voted in favor of a strike, which could happen as early as August 2nd. WestJet has 4,400 flight attendants. The union that represents them says flight attendants do about 35 hours of unpaid work a month and that wages aren't keeping up with inflation. Both are issues on the table. WestJet CEO says the airline is determined to reach an agreement with workers. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 71.22 U.S. West Texas Intermediate up to 79.60 U.S. a barrel. Western Canadian Select is up to 64.89. And the TSX gained 95 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Let's go to Kayla Mitchell on the weather deck.
Yeah, it's a warmer evening out here in the north end of Halifax. There's a mix right now of some blue sky and some white fluffy cumulus clouds, but it was a different scene in parts of Nova Scotia this morning, where this was seen in the sky across many different parts of the province. And that is the sun being seen through that thin haze of some wildfire smoke. And this was sent in by Bill and Hella from Windermere, Nova Scotia. I want to thank everybody else who sent me some pictures of that hazy sky for today. Of course, as that smoke cleared off towards the east, the sun came through, the temperatures rose, and there were even parts of the region that got into some showers and some thunderstorms, parts of Prince Edward Island, areas to the east of Nova Scotia. Tomorrow for Windermere, speaking of thunderstorms, will be a chance of a shower or thunderstorm late in the afternoon and into the early evening. High temperature tomorrow near 26 degrees. Day planner across the Maritime region to start the day. There might be some thin, high wildfire smoke above like there was today. Maybe not as thick as it was today, but might be a little bit present. That'll be clearing off towards the east. And then in the afternoon, it's a mix of sun and cloud. And watching for some scattered showers to move out of the southwest New Brunswick and towards Nova Scotia. And there will be a chance of thunderstorms with those. Let's find out what's ahead on Your Morning Atlantic.
Thursday on Your Morning Atlantic, brand new wine.
We meet the folks behind Horse Theft Vineyards, a new winery located in beautiful Stewiacke.
Start your morning with us Thursday on Your Morning Atlantic on CTV and Crave.
Finally for us tonight, Netflix is rolling the dice on a brand new game show based on a popular board game. The streaming giant announced it's working on a Monopoly competition series that will come out in the fall of 2027. The show will immerse 12 players in a life-size Monopoly town square that's inspired by the game. The winner will take home, this sounds good, a $2 million top prize. It can be you. That's because Netflix is accepting online applications for players. It's a lot of money. That is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco is here with our 11:30 late update. I'm Todd Battis. I hope to see you tomorrow. Till then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritimes' #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.